everyone, and welcome back to Purpose to Love. My name is Randy, and today we're going to discuss dealing with managing behaviors. For a caregiver or a parent, I'm thinking of you right now, and during this time that we're all experiencing this quarantine and this COVID-19 mess, and just how you're dealing with managing behaviors at home. I recently was on Instagram and I follow this group called Special Needs, and just a group of parents and teachers and caregivers who, mostly parents who are just sharing their experiences, caring for their loved one, their child with special needs. And one mother made a post, and she posted about her son who has autism, and she was expressing how he's having a really hard time right now, and this time of quarantine has been very difficult for him and for the family, and his behaviors have spiked up, and he's been hitting the father, and he's just having a really hard time. His routine is off, he's struggling, and so she was expressing that. But then I thought it was really beautiful because she captured a really beautiful picture of him. He was so cute, and he was playing, and he looked very happy, and she just said today was a better day. She made the point to express, yes, we're struggling, but today was a better day, and she put her mind and attention, and she looked up and saw a beautiful moment, and she gave gratitude to that. So I thought that was really, really special. So if you need a resource or a support group, or just, to interact with other people who are possibly dealing with some of the similar things you are, that's a nice resource. Instagram, finding groups on Instagram to, find encouragement. So check that out. I wanted to start off, for the viewer who's not aware or hasn't had experience of how to manage or working with, dealing with someone who has very significant behavioral needs. I wanted to kind of give a very brief overview of the skills that we use as parents and teachers and caregivers to manage behavior. So there's just an understanding of what it is that we're doing. So one of the main skills that we do, or one of the things that we focus on in managing behaviors, is safety. Safety first, making sure that the individual is safe, the child is safe, making sure everyone around them is safe, making sure the environment is safe. So that might mean we need to move things out of the environment that can be used as weapons, or that can be dangerous or can cause harm. And we might have to move ourselves or other people out of the space, or maybe if we can, move the individual, the child, into another space where they can work out their emotions. So safety is first. I will add this piece in here. Wasn't sure if I was going to do that, but I will add this piece in here. For our parents and caregivers, those who work in residential facilities, there's another protocol that they follow, that they have the list of things that they do. So not super focused on that right now, but for the parent, if you're home and you have a child or an adult child who has very challenging behavioral needs and it can get dangerous, please don't be afraid to call 911 to come and help mediate the situation, or they may have to transport him or her to a psychiatric facility to get more of the support that they need. I know it's probably not something you'd want to have to do, and it can be probably more traumatic for the child, but if it's a matter of life and death, and if it's safety, then it has to happen. So please, if you need to take that step, take the step. So safety is something that we practice and we keep at the forefront of our mind whenever we're managing behaviors. And we also think about, is this a battle we need to fight? Is it important? Am I trying to make a point, or is this really necessary for the child or the adult who I'm working? I also think about if we have enough support. As a parent, if you have a spouse or someone with you that can help you through this, it's always important to make sure that, especially when the behaviors are rising up and they're getting more challenging, you want to have that person with you to help to mediate the situation if possible. As teachers and caregivers, we're always needing that extra support, someone with us to make sure that we're all doing the right thing and that the child or the adult is getting the support that they need. Sometimes you might just need another person to switch in with you because you might be the trigger. It could be that how you sound or what you're doing or what you're saying that could be causing the issue. So we always look at that too. Do I have enough support? So those are just some basic skills or things that we think about when we are managing behaviors. And really when it gets deeper into it and we get more specific per individual, it looks very different. It looks very different for each person due to their abilities and due to their emotional state, their mental state. So it varies. So now kind of moving into dealing with managing behaviors, I want to kind of know some ways that you deal with managing behaviors when it's happening, whether you're at home or residential or in the classroom. How do you manage those behaviors, or how do you deal with managing the behaviors? What are some things that you can do for yourself to help you manage the behaviors? And some of the things I thought about, just a few things I thought about that might be helpful, is to process. It goes along with our other video from last week in terms of battling burnout, is communicating and processing what's going on. So it's more of a personal process. I'm thinking like after the behavior has finished and everyone's calm, you're sitting and you're processing, okay, what just happened? What really just happened? Why did this happen? And being honest with yourself and recognizing the reality of it, I think processing is good because then it leads to then brainstorming ways that you can do better next time, or you can set up the student or the child better up next time, or maybe it's just learning. Now you're learning something new about that particular student. You get to process why it happened, and now you're learning, oh, they don't like this. I didn't know that they didn't like this, or you're able to kind of work some things out when you process. So I think that's really important, an important step when we're dealing with managing the behaviors, to take the time to process if you can. I know that sometimes when you're doing and working with someone with special needs, you're moving so fast. Sometimes you're doing 1,000,001 different things. So, but if you have the opportunity to sit and process. And the other thing I was thinking of is to check yourself. So not only are you physically checking yourself, like if you're someone who has had students or has a child who might scratch and bite and hit and be really physical, obviously checking yourself, making sure you're okay, is really important. But then also checking yourself internally. How am I feeling? Do I feel angry right now at this child, at this adult? Do I feel mad? Do I feel scared? Like recognizing what those feelings are is super important. Do I feel defeated? Do I feel whatever? I think that's really important. I don't think we put enough emphasis on checking ourselves physically or emotionally, and sometimes that can lead to burnout, and that can lead to just feeling like you just feel so defeated and your head just goes down like, I give up, but no, we want to keep our head up. We want to keep our mind focused. And I think part of that is checking yourself. Check yourself. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. I had to throw that in there. And then the other thing I think will be helpful in dealing with managing behaviors is to recognize that there is good. Recognizing that there is going to be a better day. I'll be able to say today is a good day, and I think that's important because sometimes we get so focused and honed in on those really negative experiences. And I know I have, when I've had students who were consistently, not like a once in a while, thing, but like every day it was like I was getting attacked, and it would get so overwhelming. I'm like, oh my goodness. And But if I was stuck, if I hadn't healed, if I hadn't like processed or checked in with myself, or if I hadn't like just turned my mind from that yesterday experience to today, sometimes I would get stuck and I couldn't appreciate the awesome moment that we were actually trying to have, or we were having, because I was just so frustrated and I was still holding on to something else from yesterday or that morning. You know, in this field, when you are serving someone or caring for someone with special needs, you have to have a pretty quick turnover in terms of letting things go. Being someone who holds on to a lot of stuff isn't going to be helpful for you in this field. And it took me some time to realize that, but when I did, it was much more freeing, and I was able to handle the behaviors or manage the behaviors in a much more therapeutic and thorough, consistent way. You know, I was able to see the situation for what it was and not get like sucked into it and get all emotional about it, if that makes sense. So those are just some things that I was thinking about in terms of dealing with managing behaviors. And if you have other thoughts, other ideas, in what you do while you're dealing with all of that, please share, leave a comment below, and just, you know, if you can, share how you deal with managing behaviors. And let's talk about it. You know, I think that we have the time, for those who are home without someone else around, to think about and meditate on these things. And then if you're currently dealing with it, whether you're a parent or a caregiver, you know, hopefully you can share some things or practice some of these things as you're dealing with the issues. So, but we have to remember that there is a better tomorrow, and that we're gonna all get through this. So thank you so much for watching, and remember, you're awesome and you're amazing, and that you are purposed to love. All right, bye.